Everything can be edited.
No, leave it in.
Keep it for bloopers.
Leave it in. So.
Stop.
The Jiggy Show, where Jiggy people do Jiggy things.
Welcome to the Jiggy Show. I am your host, Bob Smooth, and this is episode 11. And tonight I have some old friends from like playground, back in the day, Ava and Morgan. Hello, ladies. How are you?
Hello.
It's been a while. Mm-hmm. And these ladies are the little things, and they're a foundation. And today they're gonna like tell us about what they do and how great they are. And and I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. And they got all black, like a gang, like straight up gang, like squad. Like but introduce yourselves and the little things, and tell people who you guys are.
All right. So I'm Ava. I'm Morgan. I'm Taline. I'm Nazanin.
Michelle.
And you guys are the little things.
Little things. We are the little things.
The little king. Okay, so the Little Things Foundation. Before we get to the foundation part, who came up with the name The Little Things? That's kind of dope.
I did.
Oh, word. Why? Where did the name come from?
Because I couldn't do much.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do something. So
Okay.
I figured, let me just do the little things.
That sounds like a commercial.
No.
Word. That's dope. Okay, so go ahead. Please tell people what the little things are.
So basically right now we're dedicated to care packages for those in need. Initially it was just focused on the homeless because we just wanted to help them feel like they're part of society, because I really don't think you can contribute to society unless you feel included.
Word.
So that's the first step.
Word.
And I guess for other living things it's pretty simple. Like really you just need the basics like water and food, but for humans it's much more complicated in order to feel included. You need to feel like you look good. You need to be presentable.
What?
You
look good, feel good. Like
Yeah.
it's all about like how you put yourself together. Like how do you wake up in the morning? How do you see yourself? You know,
Dope.
It all comes from the little things that you do for yourself to get yourself there. You know.
I like that a lot.
like you wouldn't just roll out of bed and go into the world ready to freaking rock shit and make deals happen and all that stuff and contribute and make the world a better place. Like there's little things you need.
And I think.
Go ahead.
No, it was just also like Ava was saying, you know, people feel like they can't really do anything because it's like overwhelming, or you see people when you're driving by and you're like, you know, what can you really do to affect them? But you know, small acts of kindness really do impact people, and you know, I think that's really what it's all about. It's just like taking some type of action.
Okay, dope. So like specifically though, so like for people that don't know, and like they're like, oh yeah, the little things, you can do anything. But like, what are small acts of kindness, like such as what? What could people do for
talking to them, like literally not being afraid to conversate with them. Sometimes they'll touch. I'll shake their hand.
Meaning who? Like the homeless?
I'm sorry. Yes,
Yeah,
the homeless. The
okay.
Yeah. We've been actually very sensitive about that word. I shouldn't say they or them, but yeah, the people, the homeless population, people in need, anyone that feels excluded due to like their circumstances, you know.
Gotcha.
Just having a conversation with them, I've shaken people's hands and they've been like surprised.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like that level of what's it called when you feel ostracism? Ostracism it's crippling. So.
That's dope.
So
Yeah, and
little acts of kindness.
right now we're starting with care packages with like hygiene items, lifestyle items, water, blankets, so
liquid IV.
Yeah, just non-perishables, like she said. So we're really trying to figure out right now what is going to be the most impactful, you know, to put in those care packages. But we've had a few, I would say, successful backdrops so far.
Okay, so how is this like brainstorming process when you guys are figuring out what the people, like the homeless, may want and need and stuff like that? So like, how do you guys?
We actually go back and forth a lot.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So I think we first start with like the seasons. If it's cold outside, we immediately think blankets, gloves, hats. If it's warm outside, we think more of like hydration, I guess. And then also we spoke to a couple of people who used to be homeless, who suggested that we put money in the bags. And I asked him, I was like, what's the guarantee that the money is going to the right places? Because we want to actually give them resources or provide resources that could help them later on. How do we know that this $5 or $10 is going to go like to something resourceful for them?
Big facts. I feel like that's why people don't give homeless people money.
Yeah. So this gentleman suggested to give a Metro card. To start putting Metro cards in the bags so, they can get from A to B, wherever, whatever they want to do, whatever they want to accomplish. At least they have that one less worry to, how am I going to get there? So that's an idea. We've been talking to a lot of folks when we're out doing our field work and just getting opinions from these individuals themselves, because we don't really know. We're not there on a day-to-day basis to know what really they need. And a lot of them don't really like to open up, because they don't know what your intentions are. And that's also another thing going into doing the field work is like, how do you approach them? Like, how do you, without being like disrespectful, but with also not trying to be too sympathetic, because they also don't want your sympathy.
You feel sorry for them. Facts.
But they don't want to be seen as just, you know what I mean? It's like,
less than.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't want to make people feel it's just charity. I was saying, I almost hate that word, charity, because I don't know, I just feel like it has a weird feeling like, oh, I'm helping you, or we all need help or assistance in some way. So I don't know, just like you guys were saying, just having it feel comfortable and natural for them, I think is really important as well, or for any person in need, because that could be any of us.
We've also researched a lot on the items in our bags. Like we know that a lot of the issues that homeless have is with mobility and walking. They get a lot of lower extremity issues.
They're on their feet all day.
Exactly. So I know Talian, who she spoke to, one of the homeless people, said Metro cards might be a good idea to provide in our bags to help them with mobility. And also warm socks, because a lot of trench foot is a huge issue, and a lot of these homeless people, they actually return to emergency rooms more than twice the regular person.
Definitely. For many reasons, I bet.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because they don't have access to even basic health care, so they have to wait, honestly, till things get to an extreme point before they can go, get some.
We just covered both bases. The first part was making them feel like they're included and making them feel like they can contribute, and then the second part is the health. Like, it's really all about healthcare too. The care package.
And exactly what she was saying, that if you don't have these basic life essentials, you may isolate yourself, and that will actually contribute to the cycle of mental illness, depression, and poverty. So it's also a health thing.
Yeah. Speaking of mental illness, I'm glad you brought that up. It's a nice transition. Like, what are the main causes for homeless people? I mean, what are the main causes for people to become?
Well, one big misconception, even though mental health is a really big issue, a lot of it is stemming from affordable housing. It's a big issue. And for women, the number one cause is domestic violence. Something crazy, like 80 to 90%, when we were looking at some different studies of women who are homeless are actually victims of domestic violence. And another big population that I know sometimes we don't talk about as much, but the foster care system. There are a lot of great people that do a lot of great help, work in the foster care system, but when those kids age out, something like 40 to 50% of them end up homeless. So, it's just people that didn't have the family structure to help support them. Like, I'm sure many of you guys can think when you graduated college or high school, you maybe had to stay at home. They just don't have that.
The means to, to take care of themselves.
I have another point as well. A lot of people blame the mental illness on addictions, like drug-related addictions. But even being susceptible to becoming addicted to those kinds of drugs has to do with your upbringing. It has to do with your social circle and the amount of people that love and surround you.
Your environment.
They did a study with rats. I know they're not people, but basically they provided them heroin in an environment where they didn't have any toys, they didn't have any other rats to play with. And those rats became addicted right away. But then in Rat Heaven, where it was an environment where they had tons of friends, tons of food, tons of toys, none of them even touched the heroin. So it's the same thing in our
we're just like we're all just like the rats, like
literally.
We're just the ones that were at the rat heaven, I guess. The benefit of having.
I feel like I'm in rat heaven with how fortunate we all are.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the times, like, I guess for me, for example, like I grew up in a family where they provided me with what I needed and more. And that's just because like they were able to do that.
Okay, gotcha.
And because of like the time that we lived, they had great jobs and they were able to provide for their children. And most of the times kids our age or our like, I guess, generation, they don't understand how much of an impact that does for our lives.
Especially in this area, because we are in a bubble. Northern Virginia is a bubble. What are we, like the second richest county in the world? Well, not the world, but the nation. The world. The nation. No, seriously. Oakton High School, they would drill that in our head all the time. Like,
so we're super fortunate, and it's like some people don't even have dinner at night, and we're out here throwing food away, like it's just like
makes you think.
It makes you think.
It does. I mean, I don't know.
So we don't want to overwhelm those people with big changes and like full-on commitment, but if we dedicate little things, then we're all capable of helping out. That was also a reason why we kept it just to care packages, because we want as many people to be able to contribute as possible.
That's dope.
And I think you were asking earlier about a research process. We're also just going to other community events, other nonprofit events, seeing what people are already doing and where we can really fit in and really provide something that's going to add to those efforts, because we know we're not, the first people to have, wanted to help the homeless. And we actually did something with Martha's Table. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I have.
They're in Charlie.
Charlie. Shout out to Charlie.
So shout out to Charlie. So they're not just limited to the homeless. They just do a lot of community involvement, but they do have a year-round food truck that it's called McKenna's Wagon. That they really go into the communities in DC to provide food, like 365 every day of the year. So we like I said, we've partnered with them, but we are looking to specifically with the McKenna's Wagon, see how we can help and assist with the care packages and while helping with the food as well.
Dope. Okay, so like the little things. Do you guys only focus in DC? Is it DC and LA?
And LA.
And LA. So like, so what's the I actually don't see. Maybe just because I don't. I actually don't see that many like homeless people around in DC. But like, what's the percentage of the?
That goes back to what she just said. Percentage of what?
Of like homeless, population.
Part of it is that DC has really made a restructuring in the past 10 years in terms of housing. A lot of individuals have been pushed into new areas within the city. So you're right in that you do have to kind of
gentrification. Go ahead and say it.
Yeah. Well,
it happens.
It happens, and so I can say for myself personally, I went out to LA with. It was like 14 of us, or how many of us in the group a few months ago. That's when I met Morgan and Talene, and it was pretty amazing. And I take back the word maybe amazing. It was pretty eye-opening, I think is the better word, to me, that homelessness was just so part of the day-to-day experience in LA. It's just normal, and I do, I mean, in Ava, I used to work together at other, different jobs. So we kind of shared on the fact that like we always wanted to give to people that we would see at the metros, or like just, we talked about it a lot.
Couldn't carry around cash.
Yeah, because I can't give away enough cash, but it's like, it doesn't really mean anything when you see the grand scheme of how big the issue is and how big, like they don't just need a few dollars, they need like real change in the way that we're addressing homeless people and homelessness in general. So I think we're just for me inspired by that.
It's really sad how many people underestimate what these items can do. I've had people like DM me and be like, well, why are you using the word inspire and motivate when all you're doing is handing out care packages? And I'm like, well, you really don't see. I'm serious. That was like an actual DM I got. She was like upset that I was using those words compared to what I was doing. And I was like, that's the problem. People don't focus on the little things. They don't understand what a big impact they have.
Yeah, most of these items.
And then we don't get anywhere because we're trying to jump the gun. We're trying to get instant gratification. We're trying to see big changes in one step. And it's like, that's why you need to start small.
Okay, word. Yeah, shout out to that person that gave you a DM, that sent that DM.
It actually helped us, honestly. So
yeah.
I mean, you need people to be critical to keep you focused, you know, and make sure you are doing things with awareness. So, you know.
Okay, dope. All right, let's step a little bit outside of the little things. Let's talk about the big things.
Ooh, good job.
Let's just say I'm homeless, right? And I am mentally stable. And like I'm pretty aware of life, but I don't know I don't have the right resources. I don't know where to go in order for a recovery process. Where can that homeless man that is watching this on YouTube? He just happens to walk to a store and he just watches a jiggy show, and he wants to change his life. Like, what are the steps that he needs to take in order to make that recovery and take those recovery steps?
So that's also something we're working on right now.
We're in the midst of our research process.
Okay.
So shout out to Merve. She did a lot of our research in putting together information about health clinics and food distribution places or soup kitchens. What else is there? Every resource that they might need, we have broken it down into like zone by area, and we're putting those pamphlets into these bags.
Okay, because not everybody has a computer, not everybody has a phone.
Yes,
gotcha.
that's a big issue.
Smart.
And that's for the guy watching right now. I'm sorry, but we don't have that information for you readily available.
And just to add, that's why the Metro cards and even Nas was kind of breaking it down for me. That's why it's so impactful, because if you don't have a phone that you can call an Uber to an interview, you know, you still need to get there. And are you going to walk the whole way? Are you going to be drenched in sweat? Like, you need transportation.
That's why you need deodorant.
To look a little bit more presentable to get that employment opportunity and help yourself to, you know.
Because those people exist. Like when I give out bags in, what's it called, Skid Row, there's people who have jobs. They're working at the corner markets. They have jobs. They just don't have a place to sleep. And they can't better their lives because they can't save because they need to eat. So it's like,
Yeah, so with these pamphlets at the very basic level, just hoping to empower these people with information and knowledge that, you know, they couldn't access.
Okay. So like, I mean, I don't know if you guys have this information, but when it comes to like sheltering, I heard that there's a certain amount of time that a homeless person can stay in a shelter.
For families, it's 30 days. For just an end of singles, it's like 2 weeks. But this is just from one shelter I worked at. So every shelter is different.
Some are overnight shelters, so you can only stay there for the night.
Why is that though? That kind of defeats the point of a shelter.
Well, because there's limited space, and so some of them, you know.
But aren't there a lot of shelters though?
Not as many as you would think, not enough to house the amount of homeless people. And I mean, I think that's why you have to remember the weather really impacts where people are going to sleep, you know, or because that's.
I complain about the cold all the time.
Exactly, and
imagine sleeping outside.
Yeah, and we're not even in the coldest of like DC winter, but even walking inside, it was so windy. Like I can't imagine trying to just walk around and be good. And again, you're walking around and then you have all of the possessions that you own on your back. Often, so your feet hurt.
That's the problem. We never think about this. You just said you complain about the cold all the time, but when you're complaining, do you think for a second like, wow, could be worse? Like this guy on the street.
Oh yeah, but I'm still gonna complain though.
Me too, but I'm saying we don't condition ourselves to think that way. And if we did condition ourselves to think that way, we'd be making such a difference, I think.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So that should also be one of our goals, is to get people to think differently. So. Because if all these cool, pretty girls are doing it that are young, and you know, why wouldn't other people our age? That's also like, it's about inspiring people to think differently too. People always ask me, they're like, what are you getting out of it? What's the real reason? Is it for clout? I'm like, no, it's because it's just the way I think. And I think I was so lucky to find 12 other girls who think just like that.
How did it happen though? Like, how did, like you said, all these pretty girls decided to do it, and there's 12 of you
I had a
guys.
lot of girlfriends,
And
and
how
they
did you
all
come
thought
up-
like me.
Okay.
And I introduced them to each other, and they
I
took
think
it
she
from there.
initially posted the idea, and so I
Yeah.
guess we all individually
Reached
messaged
out.
her.
Yeah,
they were
they
like,
all
let us
wanted
help.
to.
Word.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I think
and-
that was it. Everyone just individually.
Yeah.
No, I
interest
was saying
in
like, how are we gonna do recruiting? But I think, you know, when people feel motivated, you know, they're just going to, you know, they're gonna want to be a part of it. And I think we'll probably grow. I mean,
It's only been 6 months.
yeah, I was gonna say it's been
Think about
barely a
that.
few months,
Yeah.
so.
Not even yet.
November 18th.
Yeah.
Okay.
The LA version was September, but then
Okay. That's dope. And you guys come together in every event, right? I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We tried
Even if it's
to.
in LA.
We haven't had any events.
Because she recently moved to LA, and that's
Okay.
where she started a team.
Okay.
And then that's when we had expressed interest and branched out here. So now we've been working together just to build up the whole
Brand,
operation
yeah.
and try and start some stuff in LA as well. But it's just hard because
It's just hard.
a lot of girls are in DC.
Mm.
I don't have as big of a network. They don't have as big of a network.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But
It's
I
in
mean,
the works.
I mean, coming together though, that's a lot. That's a lot to make it.
I was amazed by everybody. Like, wow, I'm still surprised how
So-
cool we are.
Dope. Okay, so you guys are in the steps of becoming a nonprofit. And,
Yes.
Right?
We're incorporated, we're finishing, Nas, if you wanna add.
We're waiting to be 501c3 approved.
Can you explain that for the people that don't know what 501c3
So
means?
that's basically you're tax exempt. You are considered a real nonprofit,
Okay.
and you have to go through this like whole process where you have to become incorporated. So we're incorporated, and then file with a 1023 form with the IRS to become tax exempt, and then charity registration so that we're allowed to solicit donations.
Dope.
So I think we have like a few months left
Uh-huh.
until we get word back from the IRS. Cross our fingers.
Dope. Okay. All right. So like right now, so like for the common person, for the common man watching this, how can that person help the little things and in contribution? Because you guys can't accept donations yet, right?
We have been, but we reached our limits. So.
Okay.
The
So like, how
donation-
can people help? Just raising awareness. Like, what can people do?
I mean, right now, just really raising awareness. Eventually, they can donate again, but volunteering is a big thing. So
Yeah, we need volunteers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bags, spend a couple
Yeah, for
hours
sure.
in DC.
Yeah.
because we're trying to move away from donations from people and more towards donations from brands.
Gotcha.
So it'll really just, like, our vision is to just have brands donating on a monthly basis and just filling up our bags with miscellaneous items that
Yeah.
are just designed to make
Like
people
for
feel
example, Liquid IV.
good. Yeah, that was one example. So if we had,
So they saw the LA page and they expressed interest in donating 300 of the electrolyte packages that you put in your water. They
dope.
donated 300
That's
of
dope.
those that we were able to put in 300 bags.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. I like that.
So we're hoping to get more like partnerships like that.
Dope.
And for me, you know, I think in the meantime, just kind of like I said, exploring some of these other nonprofits. I think before we, you know, a big thing I like research. I don't know, and I think it's just good to see where we can already just help with established organizations, because I think that's really going to be what helps us to sustain ourselves in the long run. The more we kind of connect with those other nonprofits that are in DC.
We
That's
went
so
to
important.
an event last night.
Mhm.
We were there at the Community Connoisseurs.
Yeah.
We were invited by Charles from Martha's Table. He's
Yeah.
the one connecting us with the McKenna's Wagon to distribute our
Yeah.
bags, which
Oh,
was a
dope.
huge issue
Dope.
for us initially. But it was just such a beautifully refreshing event.
Yeah.
Seeing these people that they literally
So passionate.
I looked at Naz and I
So
was like, you know
passionate.
what's so cool? Everyone in here is a good person. They don't have to be here. Like,
Yeah.
they don't have to be doing this.
Exactly.
Like,
It was amazing, and we got so many good tips, like how to order goods from, I think it was goods360.com or .org, I think it was organization. We can get like cheaper goods and items, and also we got connected with the foster home. They asked us
so we can get
to-
care packages to foster
Exactly.
kids with their birthdays.
Dope.
Yes,
Dope.
like goodie bags.
Dope.
So that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Alright, okay, alright. Before we cut off and everything, what is the long-term goal for the little things? Big things? Or what kind
You know
of big
what's
things?
funny? When I thought of the little things, I created a Twitter for the big things because I thought it'd be like the little things sister company.
Oh, okay.
So I think we should still consider that. But basically, we're just using this platform to go into any area where we want to.
Okay.
You know, so if we create what we're doing right now, well, we can go anywhere we want. What do you guys want to do?
So maybe just not just homelessness. Maybe later down the road we could help refugees, kids who are sick.
Okay.
I don't know, anyone who you can give them something small to brighten their day, you know, just to make them feel good, you know, to make them like feel special, just a little something, you know.
We would love to link up with more foster care homes, hospitals, maybe. Yeah, we have a lot of.
We have a lot of ideas. It's just a matter of
When?
Yeah.
putting them to play.
Okay.
And that's what we've been talking about. Like, I think the legal process helped us to slow down and figure out, okay, what are some of these first steps that we need to take? Like, we're trying to build a website. You know, even from going now to a couple networking events, we know we need business cards. Like, we have some printed materials, but like, we're just seeing even, I guess, the little things of the little things that will help us to
Exactly. Be as efficient as possible
Yeah,
and
exactly.
really provide things that are going to help. So
And we're gonna have more events, and
Yeah.
fundraisers.
Yeah.
Because our first one was a huge success.
Yeah.
You had fun, didn't you?
Yeah, it was cool. It was nice.
It was really
Friends
nice.
You
and
guys did a
family.
good job, actually.
Friends
Like, I was
and
actually
family.
very
Yeah.
proud.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I was very proud
Yeah.
to see that. It's dope. Well,
And we brought some bags to show you.
yeah, please show the bag.
So we're in the design process of
Yeah.
constructing how we're gonna have our bags look, but this is the gist of it.
The little things. Who came up with the logo? It's literally a
some
person
girl.
giving a bag to another person.
I know, isn't it crazy? You guys, look at this logo. It's literally a T and then an L and a T. And the idea came from my friend Tara. Shout out Tara. But Naz had a big part in building it, and then my friend Tatiana's little sister actually designed it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
She
feel like
was
there was a lot of
amazing,
back and forth on the logo.
Yeah, it was really, but it turned out like the
Really
coolest
well.
thing ever.
Yeah.
Dope, dope. Well, these are the little things, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
through.
thank you so
for
much
having
for
us.
having us.
Yeah,
Of course,
seriously.
of course. I have a few ideas for you guys. We'll discuss.
Yeah.
Discuss,
But
yeah.
Look forward to it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Follow
well,
us.
Yeah, tell everybody where they can find you, individually or separately. If you want people to slide in your DMs, if you're about to
At the
hide.
Little Things DC.
I don't know.
We're on Facebook, on Instagram at The Little Things DC. We also have an LA page, The Little Things LA. You can follow us there as well.
Yep.
Yep, stay tuned for updates.
And that's it. All right, thank you. This is the Jiggy Show. This is episode 11. Thank you for tuning in.